This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Refresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
There we go. Yeah, all right, back once again with another podcast. We've got Daz Inman, aka POOMSTYLES, on today's episode. I think this is one that I've wanted to do for a while, so it's been getting you at the right time, isn't it? Really?
Hard to get hold of.
Yeah, no, well, not even hard to get hold of. It's just at the right time. Obviously, living so far away from me, it's like what, 2.5 hour drive or something like that.
Yeah, and the rest is difficult for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So, how we doing? All right.
Okay, mate. Yeah. Just plodding on. Just do a little bit.
What was I going to say? How have you been, anyhow? All right.
All right, mate. Been quiet at the minute. Just getting back into this. Obviously, with the lockdown and that, everything's took a while to start picking back up, hasn't it? So.
Aye. I seen you've been doing loads of we've talked about it off pod, but you've been doing loads of 80s inspired stuff. What would you call it? Synthwave? Is it?
New retro wave, I think it's called. But I started. One of my mate Phil, he sent me. It's just like listen to this, and then when I've had the spare minute, I put some on. I was like, oh, I love those drums. But you're talking anything from 90 to 110, 115 BPM. But I just loved it, and I thought I want to learn how to do that, and obviously separating that from the bounce. Yeah, it's a different world.
I know it's a bit of a random one, but have you learned anything different where maybe there's techniques and stuff like that in the production where it might be a bit different and you could incorporate it into your bounce music?
Massive, yeah. This is because it's so different and such a slower BPM. Just learning out the difference, and even just using your MIDI. I've even used MIDI different because it's not so fast. Just building things, and then learning. The slower it was easier to learn to play along to stuff and build the riff. So then just using those little techniques to get up to speed. Once I hit 145 again, it was a mega difference.
Nice. See, when I was doing hardcore for a while. I used to write my pianos, and obviously sometimes when you write it, you can go in at half speed. Do you know what I mean? So when I was doing it, I was like, "Oh, it's getting the emotions going." This, but obviously because when you write a piano at 150, you don't get that same emotional vibe sort of thing. So when you're writing it at half speed at 170, then it's sort of got you a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The emotion in a track that you can get from a slower speed. Funnily enough, I mean, you can still get that, say, in a whatever trance, hardcore, but that'll mostly be in the breaks, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But even just having a slower speed with all the drums and stuff like that, thinking, they'll feeling this.
Well, I just want to get in, and we'll start from the beginning. How did you get into the music? Were you a raver or how was it?
I was never a raver. No, it was I think I didn't start proper getting into music till I was about 11, 12. And I went to watch Terminator 2 in the cinema. That's how old it was. And You Could Be Mine, Guns N' Roses was on the theme tune.
Also, it was a rock.
So it was Guns N' Roses, yeah. So from then I was like, I want to play the guitar. So I started teaching myself all that. Went through all that, and then that's when I got to 18. I could start going out properly.
Were your mates not into music or?
No, I had one mate who was sort of.
He liked it, but it wasn't he
was more of a mate and not a best friend sort of thing. You know what I mean? So we were sort of had a little bit in common, but that was it. So yeah, all of me actual close mates had nothing. No, they weren't into DJing or nothing like that throughout anything. So it's hard, isn't it, when you're the black sheep, so to speak. But obviously, by the time I got to 18, and then it was Wigan Pier, then that's what started that off.
Right. Well, so it was Pier, was it? Obviously, because are you from Runcorn or
Yeah.
So just Runcorn, I just thought it might have been a Liverpool thing more than a Wigan thing. Or?
No, again, because none of my mates went there, and some of my mates started going, and I was like, dance music. So I was thinking I was so into that. But
what year was this?
You're talking from like 96, 97, I think I first went there, in 98.
To Pia?
Yeah.
Right. And what was the tunes that were on at the time?
Oh, you're talking like In My Eyes, Head Check.
Right.
All of them had just come out. True Love Never Dies and stuff like that. So that
So it's like the Euro trance and like
yeah. So that was like the first time I'd heard that, because I'd been to it was a Hardcore Heaven, and it was in Milton Keynes. I went there when I was 18. I was like, yeah, you know, just wasn't feeling it. But as soon as I went to Pier, I was like, I like this. And I think it was probably like stuff like In My Eyes, because I had that guitar riff in it. I'm like, there's guitars in this shit. So yeah.
So can you remember who was on when you went in the Pier the first time?
Yeah. It was Ben, Welly, Mick, and Bauer, DJ Bauer.
Right.
He doesn't play for them anymore.
Right.
That was it. It was just them.
See when you went in, did it feel like, right, this is it for me, like I've straight off the bat?
It was like a flip and a switch, because it was after that go and my mates were like, did you like it? I was like, I really enjoyed that. Like, when are we going again? And then obviously I'd get a couple of CDs, and like I think the first CD I got hold of was Ben's Club Classics 2,
right.
And it had like it had Happiness on it. You know, what's the other? Not Wand, the other one. Sound Design.
Oh, Sound Design.
Yeah. I had that on it and stuff like that, and I'm like, amazing. So I was hooked from there.
That's a tune, that, by the way.
It's a hell of a tune, isn't it?
I still play. Who was it that done? It was Dave Gray who done a remix of it not so long ago, but he done it under another alias. Oh my god, my mind's gone blank. But like.
Of an old track from that era.
It was Happiness. Sound Design. It's everybody's moving to the beat. It's that, but he did like a proper like organ remix on it when it kicks in, and it's quite. It's quite
really?
good,
I haven't even heard it. I'd be intrigued actually, because I love that vocal.
2014.
Did it?
Yeah. He did it under the alias of. It was him and somebody else, and they did a couple of tunes. Camp Collective. You know, have you heard of them?
Oh, I think I've probably got. I've got actually a few of theirs. Never even heard of that though. That track.
Yeah, they did a few cheesy like remixes under that, and it was like very like hard house, but like with an organ bass line.
Yeah, but it was sort of that era anyway. So I was hooked, and then I was like, I want to start DJing. And then, and then it was from there. And then one of my mates who I used to work with. Used to go Pier from like 94 to around that era, and he had some Gemini's direct drive, and it was like Gemini turntables, decks, the table, and these needles, the Concords,
right?
Yeah, and 150 quid. I was like,
not bad. Yeah,
sold.
Bad,
so yeah, just went from there, and then obviously I was hooked. Then,
so when you were DJing and stuff like that, did you get like a record collection, or did you have to go out and buy? Like, was it all? Were you buying records singular, or when he sold you that, did he give you any records? Or
no, didn't have to. I think the only record I got off him was he said Aqua then. Every Little Time.
Every Little Time.
Yeah, was it? Who else? Every little time I hear you. You know that one?
Yeah.
Was it Aqua? With head's gone now. It'll come to me in a minute. Yeah, I got that off him, which I've still got here, and I'm looking after. But yeah, everything was just singles then. It wasn't packs or nothing. So I went out and it was Hot Wax Records in Warrington.
Right.
It was Power Records in Wigan.
Yeah.
Liverpool was HMV and Free Beats.
Right. And can you remember the first record you bought?
The first record I bought was Trinity X Forever.
Nice tune.
Yeah, and it was on it. It was. I went in and it was actually Rob saved me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and I went in. I was like, he goes, "What you want?" I was like, "Oh, we could pay stuff." It probably looked like a right dick. And then he just handed me a pack, and that was in one of them. And was it? No, it wasn't Shelley. I got Shelley. I'll follow you after. We got it from the same shop though. But yeah, it was all so that era when all them were coming out. It was brilliant.
So, so you've sort of like got your decks and that. You're learning. How long did it take you before you sort of cottoned onto how it all worked and the mixing and was it
Jordan getting hooked into the Pier? Welly was my inspiration, so it was like scratching. So scratching to me was like being a lead guitarist in a band. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to do that. So obviously, as soon as I got my decks, I'm trying to scratch before I can mix.
Yeah.
So it was just doing that, and I was doing it just constantly. I'd get up 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, get up, do it 2 hours before I go to work, do a mix, listen to it. That's it. And go, just trial and error all the way through. I think.
So it's more like so you're into the more like say vocally like Clublandy type stuff as well, was it at the time?
It wasn't even the Clublandy stuff then. This was all like basically, it was all underground stuff, wasn't it?
I know what you mean.
There was everything was white labels. It was just a good time, but it was but yeah, it was all vocally. But for me, it was what got me was all the riffs. Yeah, it was the euphoria of it all, and obviously coming from a guitar background, if I heard a riff that I thought was clever, I was in.
It. Yeah, absolutely. So from there, when was your first gig and where?
I think my first gigs, I got. I'd done we'd done a couple of house parties or something like that, but I think my first initial gig was up in Barrow-in-Furness, and it was with Zuni.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a random one.
Yeah, man. Because I met some lads actually from the pier, and then we just kept on bumping into each other there, and then we'd talk, outside. Yeah. And I went up for a weekend anyway, so we did at this I can't even remember what it was called now, this pub, and they'd done an old, got the decks out. And I think it started with done the Young MC and the Asher.
Oh yeah.
And then I went into the.
I hammer that version.
It's a beast, isn't it? Yeah, but obviously this was the vinyl side as well, and then it was the Get a Life of Drug Addicts with the acapella of the Bambata, and they fucking loved it up there. So it was from then they were like, thought I was probably like well experienced or something. I was just still learning, but yeah.
So you've got like your first gig in that. Like, what did you want to do, and where did you want to go from there? Like, were you wanting to get out on the sort of circuit and stuff?
You just all you wanted to do was like, I want to play
to somebody.
I would play pier. Oh my God, I want to play the pier. And I think what it was there was the sound system. The sound system was so fucking loud, but like it was so clear that you could hear everything. You're like, oh God, I'd love to mix here. And just obviously be in a place where that was where it all started for me. It was sort of like a weird.
No, it's the aim, isn't it? Everybody who's a DJ, even myself included, if you could play in one place, it would have been the pier, wouldn't it? Like that's like the holy grail of bounce at the end of the day.
Yeah, everyone from really, I should have been going the 051.
Really, yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, none of me mates
were
into that shit. So it was like, I think it was, I can't even remember where I started. I went just across the road here. There used to be a block of flats, and that's where I moved in. And my next door neighbour who I met there, my mate Tom, he was like, come in the pier, like, and then obviously that's it ruined my life basically. After that.
Did you go the 051 on that? Yeah,
I went the 051, but I only went once when Rob and John done the Make Some Noise.
Oh yeah, so that 2014 one with Clubheads.
Yeah.
I've seen the video on it actually.
Yeah. That was good. I didn't even hardly know them then, so I was like,
But I'm trying to think. So, where did you go other than Pia, sort of for the bounce music at the time? That was it. Because I spent from 18 till I was 27 or something. Virtually every Friday, Saturday, I was like going there. Were you going to Maxime's or
no? No. Tried to get into Maxime's once because we got to the pier late. We got in and one of our mates got us kicked out straight away. Or he got kicked out, so we had to fucking go. And then we went up to Maxime's and we walked. May as well go there. We walked in and they went, "Rock night, lads." We were like, ugh. So I think that night we ended up going Cricketers.
Right.
And we stood in the line for God knows how long in this queue, having to get your photo taken and all that to be a member or something. I was thinking, I'm not going to come back here again. It's like, and then I walked in. I was like, this is shit because it was just. It was too much for me. MCs back then.
Yeah.
It's different than it is now. MCs have got a different.
Can you remember what night it was?
In the Cricketers, God knows. I can't even think who would have been on it because I was that ignorant to anyone outside the pier. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't even say ignorant. I just never had that much knowledge about.
Or interest at that either.
Yeah, it was just sort of like. Oh, this is where it's made. I'm going to people like Burger P music. What type of music's that? Dance. It was sort of.
That's not Wigan P music.
Yeah, so it was.
Can you play Wigan P at 38 track free? I know where you're coming from. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then you're coming up sort of mid 2000s and onwards. Are you getting gigs anywhere else? Are you going?
Obviously we're going up like with Barrow and that. I was up and down for Barrow for a few years. So I was gigging there. Started gigging in the Mersey View, which was good. And the Mersey View had two rooms. It was like a cave downstairs. The sound system was unreal. So me and my mate used to do that and then Nick Hughes as well. He used to do that with us, and that didn't last for long. But then there was a club in Runcorn Old Town called New York,
right?
And there was a resident there for a bit. That was absolute wild
so
club. That.
At this point, what are you? Are you DJ Daz or you POOMSTYLES?
I don't even know what my stupid name was then.
When did the POOMSTYLES thing come?
I don't even know what a DJ name was at the beginning of it, but I think when it comes to picking a name, years ago, like when I used to play in goal for footy, and now my mates were like, "Oh, you look like Mark Poom," which means nothing to me. I don't know who it is, but he used to be a keeper for someone, and they'd be like, looks nothing like me. So anyway, they'd start calling me like Poom, stuff like that. And then I don't even know. Just one day, I was just writing on a CD and just done the styles. I was like, yeah, that'll do. It's sort of one of those names that's nothing.
It's different, innit?
It's nothing to do with me. It's unique and it looks stupid, but chances are you won't forget it.
Oh no, definitely. Like I remember seeing. I never heard of you until 2012. Maybe later on in your thing, but I remember coming across a tune and you did it for Infected Digital. For Connor at
Lights.
the time. Lights. That was the first time I heard of you, and then after that I started seeing you on flyers for Guilty Pleasures.
Yeah.
So that was and it was like DJ POOMSTYLES. I was like, oh, I wonder who this is. And then obviously I heard your tunes and it didn't sound like every other donk tune. So I was like, I'm into this. Like, because a lot of the time you used to use like either like say like an organ bass line or an acid bass line, or it wasn't always a donk as such.
No,
or like a saw,
like a saw, more of a saw,
bass. And I just thought, right, so you get yourself down this little rabbit hole of checking your stuff out, and then that's how I discovered you. And I can't remember the first time we talked. It was a while back, like, but
years ago now, wasn't it?
It was years ago, but as I say, like that's how I discovered who you were. And when I heard some of your stuff, I always thought, why was he not, as I say, not like an arsehole like that? Why was he not like sort of? Your stuff would have been a good warm up for like Pia at the time, do you know what I mean? But maybe you weren't putting yourself out there or handing CDs, or like that, just getting.
Yeah, I mean, I've known the Pia lads forever, but again, it's sort of like I would have never been like, so we're gonna play for you, you know what I mean, sort of thing. You do, but you don't sort of do that. But yeah, I think like with the it was 2012 when I started releasing, so obviously it got to like.
When did you start producing?
So it was probably like 2005. Well, bear in mind, 2005 wasn't that long ago, but to get a good computer that could do a good job cost a bloody fortune. So I had a shitty old Windows XP. Was it an XP? Oh no, I think I put XP on it because it was older than that. Yeah, I put more RAM in it, so it had 512 megabytes. It was a piece of shit, but it done me Cubase 2 at the time, and it was just learning. But actually, I had no internet, so there was no YouTube.
No, obviously.
None of my mates did it, so it was like I go to the record shop and go, so try to do this on Cubase. They're like, do this. Okay, and go to do it. Get stuck again. Go back the next week. Try to do this, and it was just that for ages. And then obviously till I started cracking it, which you think you're cracking it, but then when you start looking back and you're going, I didn't know what I was doing.
There's nothing wrong with progression, mate, though, is there?
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, without making them mistakes, you wouldn't learn where you are now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I sort of heard of you, and then from there, you were like consistently releasing this really good like euphoric trance stuff. And I think I reached out to you, I don't even know what year it was, maybe 2013, something like that.
Should I have a look back on the messages?
You have to scroll quite a lot.
Take a week.
Yeah, but I think, and then I reached out to you and I was like, I like this stuff, and I'm sure you sent me like a whole folder of stuff. So when I was playing up My Way, I was hammering loads of your stuff out, and Up My Way, a lot at the time, there was a lot of room for like clubland classics, so throwing your tunes in between there was easy. It was the whole like the harder donk stuff and that, because the MC thing died in roughly that time at My Way. Everybody got into that fucking Jack and House and a bit more cool music, but like
bit of a weird time, wasn't it? Back then. Yeah, well, like, funnily enough, a lot of people said like, they were like, you were 10 years too late, Daz. And I was thinking, you know what, probably because the era that really sunk in the most when Scouse House really kicked off. So you talk about the ska, like came and Total Control were banging them out and all that, KB. I was still making the tunes as if they were then. but then that's because I was enjoying making, and even though the music was changing through then, I was still enjoying making that. So that was what was sort of my USP, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Rather than following like it probably would have benefited me more following it, but I don't like sitting here trying to make something and you're like, I'm not enjoying
it. Yeah, you'd rather for me, I think early on I tried to please everybody and just do, people want to hear this, I'll do this, people want to hear that, do that. It got me moderate success. I said moderate, like I was happy with where I was and what I was doing, but I wasn't happy with what I was putting out. So that's why I sort of just pulled back a bit. So I started writing stuff I enjoyed, and that's how we started getting on, because it was very similar. It was always like euphoric type stuff, because I started doing the harder stuff and it wasn't sort of cutting it for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was getting good reaction and getting good numbers, but it's just one of them, isn't it? It's like, what do you do? Do you follow it for the success, or do you do what you want and then what you enjoy?
Yeah, for what you got into it for in the first place.
Exactly. So when people say to you, "Oh, you got in it 10 years too late," I get the, "Oh, you got into it 20 years too late, pal." Do you know what I mean? So I think when I met you, I was I'm maybe 16 or something when I met you.
60. I've even through all these years, I still can't get over how young you started and technically how young you still are, and what you've achieved in this time is unreal.
I wouldn't say I've achieved much, but
the
only thing I've achieved is about 7 stone since I first met you.
Yeah, that's replaced the chair as well after that left. No, again, even like for what you've done and even what you're doing now, no one's doing this shit. No one's going around doing all this. You know what I mean? It's like, credit to you, but again, this shit should be noticed. You know what I mean? Even worldwide.
It's not, like I said to you off the pod, I'm not doing it to get noticed as such. Yeah. I just want the scene and stuff to be remembered. It's a bit, I think it's a bit shit that like you see all these big clubs in like London and Manchester, like say like the Hacienda or Dalston Lane in like in London. All these things are getting documentaries and shit made about them. And then here we are in a donk scene where there is loads of history, loads of stories to be told, but no one's hearing them. It's not getting documented anywhere. No one's writing books. No one's talking about it publicly. Yeah. Like me and you talk about some stuff that goes on, and it's like no one else is going to hear it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And some of it's actually brilliant. I
suppose. Well, yeah, it's a good thing. And even like the Bounce has been a stepping stone for a lot of big names, hasn't it? So you think, like the Scala's gone on. Like obviously Ultra Beat is still rocking it. Yeah. But there's stuff like that, and obviously this was a stepping stone for it. But it's a shame, isn't it, that it's not.
I think a lot of people do secretly like it, and they just they think they're a bit too cool for it now.
Yeah. Oh, if you put a night on and go, it's going to be Scouse or Bounce, they'll be like, no. But if you just put a night on, and then next when they start playing, the Clubland Classics, I love this one and all stuff.
Absolutely.
Don't tell them what it is; they love it.
So what was I going to say? I want to get into your sort of at what point. And this is, and you can talk about this with anyone. Everyone's got like, you have pivotal moments within being a DJ or a producer, and you have moments where you're like, I've leveled up here. Like, and you it's not, there's nothing maybe as major as such. You might be just making a tune and it gets signed to a certain label, or you might be getting booked for a certain thing. At what point did you think, this is starting to grow wings a bit?
For me, name as a producer or a DJ?
Well, just when you thought for a minute where. Like I wouldn't say a breaking out moment, but where everyone knows when they've leveled up.
Where you step up a level, sort of thing.
It's like, right, this is the next bit now.
I'd say I've done it, like I've noticed a few times. And I've been quite fortunate, really, because obviously with the Guilty Pleasure that we had here, it was me, Jay Robbo, who's a local DJ, and Rob Kane, and it was us, the residents. So, you know, I was being able to get to know Rob on a work and personal basis, sort of thing.
Was that the first level up where you're like, right, the ball's starting to roll a bit now? I'm getting to work with these DJs, or was that the first one?
I'd done other ones, because you remember the Forgotten Classics that I was doing.
Yeah.
So like I was just doing them, and everyone was doing classics, and it was the ones everyone's hearing. So doing those Forgotten Classics was a bit of a thingy where a lot of people are getting in touch, going, "Oh, I love that," you know. But the downside is a lot of people are pigeonholing me into classics gigs. Yeah. But on top of that, obviously, was through Guilty Pleasure. I would be probably had something to do with it, but then. just little more gigs started coming in. Obviously, I was making more tunes, and then I started producing with others.
Yeah.
Like We Don't Want, like with stuff with Kenny, with Rob, with John. And again, like you say, if I would want to work with someone, I'd do it because
you wanna.
I enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's something you enjoy it. And for once, you got someone who talks the same language as opposed to like. You know what I mean? Trying to do.
Can you do that? Can you put that on there, please? Thank you.
Yeah. Or even just having a yes man there going, would you like this? Yeah. Or this. Yeah. Or like, do this now. Oh.
This or this, and just go, I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, useless boys. If you've got someone who you could actually talk the same nerdy language to, you don't know, innit?
Yeah, everyone's got their own different ways of working and stuff like that, but you're all sort like, you're reading the same book, but you might be on different pages, so to say. Yeah, like, you might like say, I know this is a bit getting a bit geeky and into it, but like, you might sidechain something different to the way I sidechain something. As you say, we get the same result. So,
but even that's a good learning task as well, because I love doing something and going, oh fucking hell, I've never done that before.
Yeah,
and I've learned so much with different producers on different doors as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just thinking, I'll take that and I'll diggy, but it's again, it's just there's no right way. It's just a headache.
What would you say you sort of first track where you're like, right, now I've got people's attention, sort of thing? What was that?
I think the track that put me on the map at first was probably True Love Takes Me Away. Which was just that.
Do you know me? I was standing one night with John G, and we were having a crack, and I think
love John.
I think I played it, and he came up to me and he was like, tune, and afterwards he says he plays it quite a lot, and or it could have been the other way around. I don't know whatever works. I've heard him play it, and I've played it myself as well. So, and honestly, we were sitting there absolute wanking over it. Like, it was just like, it's so different but so relatable at the same time. So like, anybody who likes the classics will be like, I know this, I'm gonna fucking still dance.
Yeah.
But it's still got that like fresh, different mashup feeling to it. I love it.
It was it was such a long track to make that, because I started it and like, I think it was like 2012 or something. I started that and I got to a so part, and when you hit a brick wall, just save it, it'll come back after. And then one day, a couple of years later, I was like, oh my god, had an epiphany. Loaded it up and finished it. It was like, from there, even that track now, where like Paul H from the Pleasure Rooms, they had a Pleasure Rooms gig, like one of the last reunions that they had, and it was on the video, and it was True Love Takes Me Away, and I was like, oh my god. So I just wrote it. I was like, oh, nice one for playing me track, mate. And the next minute it was like, oh lad, so I started talking to him over that, and then on top of that, loads more people buying it, off the site.
Yeah.
I was like, well, still going, but it's again, to people who've never heard it, still a new tune, isn't it? That sounds old.
Class. I like it. I love it. So that was like the first sort of the biggie for you, would you say?
I think it, like round about that time, it was that. Then Concrete come out.
Concrete Angel was a big step up for you, I think.
Yeah.
When you did that,
carte blanche.
I never even heard the released version first. It was the version you showed me with the extended breakdown in.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Like, because obviously the extended version's got the extra verse in, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, this is so good. But
played an extended verse. I've never play it live.
Yeah.
I think it's just too long.
Oh, it's too long. But like when you showed me, I was just like, this is different. Like, and yeah, I heard that. I hammered that tune as well. To be honest with you, I hammered so many of your tunes.
It still goes good now. Like again, it's got to a point now where you're getting many new ones that you want to play, or even like you're getting playing other people's on a gig, but you'll still get people going, "Oh, you're playing it." You're like, "Oh, I wasn't going to." If it still works, it still works, doesn't it?
I love it, like, because it's got that thing where you think it's kicked in, but it's still building up, and then the big
carte
kick
blanche.
back. Yeah, class.
That carte blanche made it as well. That was just another epiphany one day. We were like, try that.
Yeah. So from there, like as a sort of peer of yours, we'd call each other a lot and back and forth conversations, and I remember saying to you, it's happening now for you. Like the BTIDs that came along for you. You were getting some odd bits. I'm sure you done a couple of gigs for Kenty. You did.
Yeah, we were like the Stepping Stones thing. You start with what was it? I think Magaluf was the first one, like for BTID, and then you started to put me on like after parties and stuff like that. So I was getting noticed. Went on the Scream Fest in Southport, and then that led to doing the Reminisce gig.
Oktoberfest or something was it called?
Yeah, that's the one.
Scream
Fest. Yeah. And then that went on to go back to back with John at Reminisce as well, the Clubland, which was massive.
Yeah.
And then obviously started getting on big with the pier, but I think I started getting the main pier gigs, like just doing like Back to the Old Pier.
Yeah.
After.
So you're still predominantly known for classics at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was still getting a hell of a lot of bounce gigs that coming in. But obviously, these were all classics. And when we went to Ibiza, I think that put me on the DJing.
What was the first year you went? Was it
Ibiza?
Was it two? No, the first in the sun holiday rave. I don't know which. Was it Ibiza the first one?
No. They'd done a couple. I think that I went to Maga twice, and
so you done the Maga one first.
Yeah, but they had done one previous to that I wasn't on. But that's what they'd done the competition on.
Oh, was that Lorette de Mar?
That's the one. Yeah, so they'd done the competition for that, and again that mix got a lot of attraction.
Yeah,
it was like people like Dave Great get in touch, going, "This is what bounce needs," and again it was just me being euphoric, riffs and vocals and stuff. So, but again, just picked up from there. But I think Ibiza, just being the first time we went there, being lucky enough to, when our plane got delayed, it got turned around on the way there. So my set at the opening night should have been like second or third, and it ended up being swapped to last.
Was that a bitch being someone a bit? So she was too wrecked or something like that, and they had to turn it around.
Yeah, abusive woman on the thing. John sat behind and go, shut the fuck up. It was hilarious. He had the right face on him. It was good, that. Yeah. Sorry, John. Yeah.
Have you got any stories from there that you'd like to share? A lot of people do like the travelling stories. So
yeah, I mean, there's not as wild as some of the other ones, you know what I mean? But like, I think the going there that first time with that woman on the plane was nuts. Well, again, off the back of that, I had to swap my set time, so Ben put me on last on the opening night.
Right.
So I went in there, and then loads of people there were just blown away by it, sort of thing. And even like Kenny was like, best set I've heard when I was here and stuff. And then it went from there. Then on the Wednesday when we went to the Zoo Project, and then I went on last, and that was classics. So it was like classics and Ibiza.
It sort of works.
I'm going all out euphoric, and obviously that put me on the map for the classics. Then, and after that, started putting me on Back to the Old Piers main stage, and it was just, I loved that.
Quality, mate, quality. So what sort of BTIDs were you doing in the UK at the time? So you came back at them. I can't remember what you did. Did you do? Was it Park Hall you did?
No, one place I've since the piers shut, Park Hall's my next thing.
Right.
And I've been saying, I want to play Park Hall, So, but I've done pure...
Back to the Old Pier, that one.
Yeah. Done a couple there. Done Flamingos for them a few times.
I did the Flamingos one. Was that Pier on the Pier after party?
Yeah. I've done Pier on the Pier when they had the trance room inside, and that was mega as well.
Yeah,
that was good, because that was, again, it was there was fucking loads of people in there, and I was thinking, it's going to be shit because the main stage is out there with everyone on, and I think Lee Butler was on at the time as well. I was like, ugh. But obviously there was loads in. I was like the older era, so it was that, stuff like that, you know what I mean? You think other people are taking note, rather than going, look at me, or, you know what I mean?
Honestly, like I always thought that like you deserved it. So like when we used to have these conversations, we'd be on the phone and be like, right, Dad, it's coming. I know it's coming. It's just a matter of time, because your style fits what they do, like without a doubt. I think your style really fits a Liverpool style as well when you see classic nights on there. So like I'm surprised that you haven't been sort of big there, but now, as you say, when Paul H is playing your stuff, I think it's only a matter of time again.
Yeah, so I've been on the phone to Paul a few times. We're going to be sorting some stuff out this year, hopefully. But
see, there you go. Like you can see when things are coming in, and the ball's rolling and stuff like that.
It was good for the period, obviously. Well, when we were doing, like when Rob was still in the bounce as well.
Yeah,
there was a lot that we were getting booked at the same time, so we'd be going over to Birkenhead and do some stuff. And like we and Rob had a residency over in Widnes for a short period, but working with him all the time and watching how he does what he does, and you're like, but you learn so much from him, and
you're like taking under his wing almost. Like
it literally was, even though I'm older than everyone as well. But
but not in an experienced term, like.
Oh yeah, I mean? But even the little things, not just down to how technically he is, just how to like how calm, you could be and stuff. Like,
I think he's got this little trick that he does, and it's maybe something you can't teach. I'm not sure if I said it to him when I was talking to him on the pod, but he does this thing where, say like he's playing a certain way and the crowd are like, they're still there, but they just need that little bit more and they'll pop massively for a big tune. He just does it at the right time, and he'll bring the tune at the right time. So say like a tune's working and he's sort of riding it, but he's sitting on this absolute thumper, and then he'll just drop it in at the right time, and then the crowd just go fucking mental. Yeah. And with the energy with him behind the decks as well, if they see him having a good time, and you can sort of see when he's lining one up, because he's like, he just gives you that look. Where I remember seeing him, he was playing in Bowlers, maybe, I think it was a Bowlers event, and I was on sort of after him, and he was playing, and he was playing quite euphoric, and then on the breakdown was on, and he brought bringing this tune in, and he just looked over and he's like, yeah, this is gonna work. Fired it in, and the crowd went fucking mental. Like, he's just got that good energy about him. And the thing is, when the tune kicked in, he gives it the whole energy and the dancing and that behind it, and it's just another level, really.
A lot of people say that, you know, it's like your activity or your energy on the decks sends it into the crowd, and you know, like, there's so many people have been like, I think I enjoyed myself more watching you doing your shit, enjoying it as well.
Then again, there's the complete other end of the spectrum, where there's people, everyone's in the middle, really. But if you see what Rob does and the way he reacts to the music, it's like quite erratic and all full of energy. But then if you watch someone like a John G, he's there and he's just got this thing about him. He's very subtle in what he does. Yeah. And then when he drops a big tune in, you don't see him like jumping around. You just give him the nod, and it's just like, that's it. Like, he just knows. He hasn't got that craziness behind him, but he knows how to work the crowd in a different way.
John's brilliant.
That's why I love it. A lot of people who's not into the music are out like that. They've got like this. They just think a DJ is a DJ. But when you're a DJ and you're watching people play, you can see the range of diversity in ways and styles of controlling.
I used to like, obviously, Rob was a complete other level because he's so technical. Even like his warm-up sets. Seeing like, he'd done a warm-up set in Sopranos, one of the last ones I went with him, and he started just on these tunes. I was like, what the fuck's this tune? But it started like 135 BPM, you know what I mean? But it was just absolutely sounded amazing, and I come away from it thinking there's fucking nothing he can't do. It was like, but obviously being when I was Peerhead and it was Ben, Mick, Welly, and because even after the Bauer left, then they got who was next? I think Nitro coming in next. Yeah, and obviously he started working the way up before like Danny Walsh come in and that. But I used to always think like Ben's mixing was so clean. Mick's mixing was brilliant in the sections. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Everyone had their own style.
And Welly could like beat Matt scratch straight into his first beat. Yeah. I'm fucking straight in, you know. It's so different the way they done it, where Welly would always mix in the beats. Yeah. And like, but like even Ben's, I remember, like, he used to always like take his headphones off and put them on the mixer while the vinyl's playing. You're thinking, skills.
Right. So as we've came along, we've done a collaborations and that at this point. Sort of you getting the gigs and stuff like that. So far in up until sort of 2022, what's been the highlight for you?
Over there, everything DJing wise.
Yeah. Doesn't need to be DJing. It could be producing. Like, it could be going to a certain gig or something. What for you? What is the?
I think probably DJing in Ibiza.
Was that there?
And Reminisce. Obviously, I would never forget Reminisce because it was fucking rammed, and just having that. You know what I mean? Having the crowd
that
there.
That moment, isn't it?
Yeah, that moment's ago. But Ibiza had so many different ones because, again, there was like the classics all getting a chance to play in like Es Paradis and stuff like that. And you're thinking, this is fucking nuts, this. And that was a funny gig as well, because I think I was on after Phil. And I was just thinking, it's still dead early, you know, so just like do a sort of warm-up set. So just playing just shit that I'd never ever play. And then I come off and people are like, that's the best set I've ever heard you play. And I was like, really, it was just flying through. I wasn't putting nothing into it. But then you go away learning something from that as well. Think you could learn to mix it up in the sense of, I'm not going to play this sort of type of stuff in warm up. It would work.
Absolutely.
Other things, but you sort of have a little way in your mind, don't you? What time you're on and what's good enough to play it there or something. Who's paying attention and all that.
Right, we're going to end this section. We'll be back for you in 2 minutes. So we're back for part 2 of 2. So in this one, this is what you guys have put in. So I've had some weird questions this week. I mean, feel free to message me. Most of these come off Twitter and Instagram. Not getting much interaction on the Facebook side of things, but it is what it is. So if you want to get in touch via any of the platforms. It's time to refresh. So this one we're gonna do. Here we go. Where do we get to? Sorry. This is a bit mad, this one. Hi, not sure if this is what you're looking for, but I feel like there's a tension that needs to be aired. Basically, my housemate's been pure hard work. There's 5 of us in this house. 4 of us are mad at this one girl because she's in the house while we were all out. She's done a massive shit in our shared bathroom, blocked the toilet, it's overflowed. What the fuck? Right. Spilled all over the floor, and we've had to contact the landlady to get a plumber out to unblock it. I know this is nothing to do with music, but this is all fine. But she's denied it was her, and there's no doubt in anyone's mind that it wasn't her. There was
Defo.
There was just too much pointing at her. We all used the toilet just fine. She came downstairs before it all happened, all flustered, and rushed out to go shopping to avoid the shit-covered floor. I was going to keep this anonymous, but fuck it, I need to air my frustrations out elsewhere. That's Louise from Carlisle.
P.S. So what's your favourite track?
Mate, I asked for questions, and I feel like I was like, ask for questions where it's like, oh, what tunes do you like, or what stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, so I thought I had to share it. Like, I think I know Louise personally. I possibly know Louise. She's a lass at uni at Carlisle, so...
That Louise Shitty Bum.
So, yeah, she hasn't named who it was, but...
It was Louise's mate, was it?
Louise.
Sorry,
so we'll
Louise.
keep this nice, short and sweet. Fucking stop being a dick, right? Like, basically, isn't it? That's what it is. Stop being a dick, own up to your mistakes, right? And just say sorry.
Sorry, I blocked the toilet.
Right, second one. This is more relatable. Like... I don't mind these questions, but do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a laugh, I suppose. Hi, fellow donkheads. Just a quick question: why is the donk scene full of bitchy pussies? I just want peace and love, and that is from Donkbird 1986.
Donkbird 1986.
I think that's off Twitter, possibly, or Instagram.
Yeah. What is it? Is these the ravers, or is it the producers and DJs?
Well, I don't know who it is, to be honest with you. So. By the sound of it, it sounds like a raver, but we can go both ends.
Let's say you're going to get this in any genre, and it doesn't necessarily mean music. You're always going to get your bitches, aren't you? Green-eyed monsters. Right, here's the thing. This is my take on it anyways. Anything where there's money involved, I think there's always going to be a bit of bitterness. If we were all doing it and we all had full-time jobs, then it maybe wouldn't be as bad. But because a lot of people rely on it as an income, it can get quite bitter at times and quite cutthroat. You see a lot of people fall out online. The difference between our scene and, say, the trance scene or the house scene or someone like that, there's a couple of scenes that are like us. So there's a bounce scene, old school scene, and hardcore scene. And what they do is they air everything on social media. So if there's a problem, they won't address it behind closed doors. They'll air it out to make somebody look a cunt. We're such a smaller pond as well, though, aren't we? So we're easier to spot. Where in the trance world,
it's all over. It's worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're a little fish in a big pond, but I mean, probably egos is probably one of the big ones that gets people. Whether
absolutely, as a raver, or as a DJ, because I've been in where. I remember just a little story. Sort of, it's still on subject, I suppose. I went to Unity in the Sun. So it's like a holiday rave in Kavos, and I never had any issues with anybody. You know what I'm like? I'm not like. I'm loud when I talk. I've got like a loud voice now, but I'm not. I won't go and bother anybody as such. And I remember that everyone I met there, they were all sort of older than me, 'cause it's sort of an old school happy hardcore type event. It's not like your bounce slide dies or like that. There's no bounce music.
My age.
No, older.
Older.
Yeah,
Oh,
older. So
I kind of want to go. So I'm one of the youngest.
They're really, really good. I was the youngest probably by maybe 15, well, not probably 20 years. I'd
2
say.
decades easy.
Yeah. So I must say, right, this all this does go on within that scene. But what I was going to say was, I found it sometimes that some of the ravers who are just in the crowd, nothing to do with the sort of music as such, sometimes have a chip on the shoulder, like this is the event I go to, and I'm the main bitch round here.
Right, yeah.
And like I got put off. I'm not saying it put me off the holiday or as such, but like there was times where people were claiming their own area in the club, and it's like, remember, and like getting the photos and like basically like taking photos and making out they're having like this amazing time, and it's like, I don't know who you're trying to kid.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
That's superficial kind, aren't they?
Yeah, I've been into raves as well, where there is certain people who think that they sort of run the area.
It's like people going like, look at the Piers 30th, which I missed out on. Bloody people going, why are these kids getting a chance to go there where we went? It was like, well, you don't own the fucking thing. If you want to go,
buy tickets
buy
quicker.
tickets. Get online, you dope. It's a bit like, real DJs play vinyl. It's that argument, you know what I mean?
And then on the flip side, where it's sort of industry people, whether you're a DJ, promoter, MC, producer, or even fucking light tech or anything like that, there's always going to be bitchiness, because there's what I call friendly competition, or there's unfriendly competition at the same time. So between me and you, like we've got no gripes or out like that between us. But when you send me a belter tune, I'm like, oh, he's done it again. But it's nice because it makes me feel like, right, I need to up my game. Yeah. And I'm sure you felt the same with other people as well. Like
your mastering of the last couple of years, I'd say you've fucking smashed it. Was one there was one that I was on the phone to you maybe a couple of months ago or even longer now, and I was like, I put it in my mix, and it was absolutely crystal clear. I remember what it was. I'd have to get the mix up and show you it off pod. But you could just.
I don't know which tune it would be.
Oh, I can't remember now. There was a batch of them. I bet it's still on my desktop because I'm not lazy. But stuff like that. It is good, isn't it? Because you're like, that's
what happens when you mix down for fucking 20 hours.
Yeah.
I do. Honestly, I can write a tune now in maybe 4 hours, right? But then after 4 hours, I can spend another 10 plus hours mixing a tune down. I'm never happy with it, even when I'm done. I've said before, I don't master my own stuff. To be honest with you, it's my mixing that makes me my strong point, I think.
Yeah. Well, obviously, your mix down is still important in the mastering stage. Even when you send it off, isn't it? So you've still got to do that properly. But obviously, it's like, where do you do your tests?
All over. So what I do is
do you go studio, car, headphones.
Right. What I do is export it. Yeah. Don't listen through the things, because you'll find something straight away. Like when you use your monitor. So if you export it, you'll find something in the export that sounds a little bit different.
That you didn't hear in the project.
Exactly.
All the time.
So right, what I do is purposely knock the monitors off as it's exporting. I'll head to the car. If whatever I'm doing, I've got something on, I'll test it in the car. Right. So I'll note down what I've noticed there. I'll stick my headphones on that I use for like DJing. I won't use like the ones I use in the studio, because it's sort of false really. But as an average listener, I've just got these. I don't even know what brand they are, to be honest. Maybe like a Bose headphone or something.
Something
and
I listen
to. Yeah, and I listen to it as a consumer then, and then I'll be like, right, there's something else I've spotted, right, and I'm talking like full finished renders of tunes. I could probably get to version 20 quite easily as well. Easy. So when I do it, I'll do that over a week period. I see these people who hammer sort of like 4 or 5 tunes a month out, and for me, I can't do it. I'm a bit of a, because I could put it out and probably no one would notice the things that I'm noticing because I created it. Same with you. If you do something, something will stand out to you.
I've released loads, and then when it's come out, I've gone. Ugh. You know, like, and I'll probably edit it myself for my gigs. And just leave the rest.
That's the thing. So for me, I'm just there, and I'll have hundreds of exports like on my phone and that I've been listening to, and I'm like, I'm at a point now where I'm done with it. I don't want to look back at it, but I'm happy enough for it to be mastered, so I'll send it off to be mastered, and then when I get it back, I'm like, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm like, spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's another world that you like trying to produce it to a point where it's good enough. But then obviously getting it mastered, you think, I want to try and learn that myself, but there's so much to do.
I don't want to.
You don't want to learn it?
I can master to a certain extent. I could master a tune and everyone will be happy with it, I think. But for me, I like to... I like the other person's ear on it, for me. For me, I'm just like, right, they do things... Like 2 ears are better than one, 2 sets of ears are better than one.
Yeah.
So what I do is I send it off, and then he might. It's John Doe, by the way. Anyway,
John Doe, yeah, I was going to say, was it John Doe or Joe?
CLSM Mastering. If you need any tunes mastered, highly recommend it because he does professional, industry standard masters for such a cheap price. It's shocking, but it's the quality is unbelievable, and he masters for some of the biggest names in the game as well. So
he does a lot of big boys, doesn't he?
Yeah. So that basically that's my process. But as I say, when it comes to competition between people, I love the fact that there's people out there who music I get excited by because I'm like, right, well, I just need to up my game a little bit, or if not, I'll be like, why doesn't my music sound like that? Or so there's always, and it's not always musically, it's maybe technical or maybe different aspects of it. Yeah. But for me, there's nothing wrong with friendly competition. As soon as people start bitching about you, that's when I'm like, fuck off. Yeah. Get out.
I love the thing is there's a lot of producers who you'd be like, how'd you do this? And you get fobbed off because some want to keep the
secrets, yeah.
But like a lot of them will be open, or obviously it's different if someone's using a different plugin or a different DAW, and I've got that type of plugin, but it's different. So I'll try that, and you try and learn your own way. But a lot of the times I'd rather sit there and trial and error until I think I've cracked it.
Right, we've got one more question for today, and this is just a tweet. I'm not sure where it's come from actually. I think it's a tweet, and I assume it's for you. I assume it's for the guest because I'm included in it. So it's Snog, Marry, Avoid, Andy Whitby, Brad Refresh, and MC Cover.
Cover's a good looking lad, isn't he?
I'd snog his head off.
I'd kiss you, Jordan. Snog, Marry, Avoid. I'd probably marry you, Brad, because...
Hey, I'm a loving husband, you know that.
I know that. And you're well out of my league now. Yeah, I'd probably avoid Whitby. No offence, Andy, it's the drawn-on beard.
Yeah. No, it's the fact that Cover's in the equation. That's what it is.
He threw Cover in, that was it.
He's a sexy boy, yeah. And I'd marry me as well.
I'd marry you.
Nah. I'm a handful, mate.
Yeah, but people like, we've had something in common. Hey, should we go in the studio?
Yeah. I wouldn't marry Andy. I'm sorry, lad. It's just because you're always out on the road, and for me, I like a little snuggle at night. Wouldn't marry myself because I know how much of a pain in the arse I am. But I'd give Cover a snog. Right. Last one today is subject of the week. Last week it was travelling on your own. This week is album versus single. So in bounce music now, do you think there's room for an album? I'll be honest, I don't.
Good question, and I'd say there's, with all the versatility there is, no, because we're going through a part in bounce now, what happened last time. Yeah. I remember when...
It's make or break now, isn't it?
Well, really? Remember ages ago, all the Lady Gaga stuff come out, and everyone was remixing all that shit. The absolute scene fell on its ass, and then it was just a few of us that kept on trying to pluck away at it and keep it going, and then it's booming again now. But there's a lot of the same shit, but now it's like
a lot of the chart remixes are coming back, definitely. Like
tons of chart remixes, but there's chart remixes getting resung or redone that don't need doing. You know what I mean? But obviously they work in the crowd because all the girls know them. But it's the wrong way to go for the scene long term. Definitely, I've said this since it started coming out again. But it should be, if there was more original stuff, or even maybe like the one of the best original classics. You know what I mean? Like that redone could possibly, but Yeah, at the minute, no, it's not good enough.
This sort of like crosses over with the question that I was on with Kenny's on the last podcast, right? And it's how do you stand out? For me, I try and write, and this is something where I'm a bit stupid, if I'm honest with you. When somebody says, "Oh, like how do I stand out?" and stuff like that, right? When you do album versus single, right? For me, I've released too much original music because no one's asked. Like that's what it is. No one's asked about original music unless you've got a big, massive. I'm talking big label. I'm talking sort of Universal, Ministry, anyone like that who's backing your original music. You're probably like fucking. You could be better headbutting a wall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is a message for people like me out there. Remix loads of fucking known stuff. If you want some recognition, do it. Work smart, not hard.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I'm sick of working hard.
Yeah, well, I think you could be. I think the key these days is a big social media presence. Where that's not me. I haven't got time for that. Like I'll do me music talking in the studio. I'll do me DJ talking on the stage. But again, it's not like that anymore. But then it also helps if someone with a big following, and it's a shame to say this as well, if someone's got a massive following and goes, "Oh, listen to this," the majority of people who are following that individual will listen to it, like it, or anything, which will then create you bigger. And it's a shame to say, but that definitely does happen. And
can you not remember? Like this is another thing. Like, can you remember with me and you were having a crack one day on the thing, and I'd done this chart remix of something. I can't remember what it was, and you said, "Oh, I'd just seen online that so and so shared it." I can't remember who shared it. Whether it was like someone like Whippy or someone like that. He'd shared my tune, or could have been, I don't know, maybe John Neal, someone like that. And they shared it online saying fucking good track or whatnot. And you're like, see, can you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
I can't remember what tune it was. And it's like, it's gonna happen for you now. So
I always said it's like the thing, isn't it? It's you want the right people to
share it,
share it, or you want the right people to start noticing you. So I always say it doesn't matter. Like we've always said, isn't it? It doesn't matter if no one's like, I don't say like the sheep that aren't following. It's when some of the main guys turn around and realise you've done that by yourself. You've got here by yourself. You're doing all this, like even all this work now. It does get noticed, doesn't it? And I think, did that make a difference then when they shared it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because all of a sudden, because I think it might have been John. It must have been. I think he shared it on Facebook, and then he reposted it on SoundCloud. The next minute, everyone's like, "Oh, that tune that you done, mate!" Like, and whether 50% of them were just sheep because, say, John shared it, or whether it's genuinely because they enjoyed the track, I don't know. But it's always going to be that thing. If the biggies like it, if the lads who are out there playing every weekend supporting it, then it's only good for you, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, but even in like the thing, even if a lot of the people would listen to it just because of that, once they've listening to it, the people they know half of them might listen to it and like it anyway, and they go, "Oh, well, I didn't know," because even now, say I'm still getting people who are like, "Oh my God, how come I've only just found you now? You've been for years, like been here forever. I'm just not out there," sort of thing. It's again, and we're only just a small pond, aren't we? Imagine trying to break into trance and shit.
And another thing as well, like I've always thought when you do, like, so we're talking about the singles versus albums. If you're going to write an album, it's going to have to be 100% original, really, isn't it? Oh, unless you do like a remix album, which it's not really not like, plausible, is it?
How many resung songs have been like a world beater? You think that's an album track, or that has been better than the original? You probably...
So, but on the subject of it, we'd probably say stick to singles, or maybe even do an EP. You've released a couple of EPs on my label, and it's sort of done well. Because I remember... it was a vocal track, I can't remember what you did now. You've released quite a lot with me, so let's have a look. It was the remix of I'm Your Light, you know, the Braveheart Breakdown.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure I've released it on an EP, and the B-side was one of your instrumental ones, and I put it on there, and it got a bit of traction because it was attached to the I'm Your Light thing, so that's why I done that, because as a single, it probably would have done alright as a single, but... I don't think it'd have got as much attention not being attached to the...
Yeah. Like, what gets overlooked.
Yeah,
it's a shame, isn't it? You think, like, even being ignorant yourself. I mean, how many times have you been flicking through a list and a title's put you off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before you've even listened to it, or sort of, but again, you've got that thing of, like, you know, if I was to play you a track, and like you were just Joe Bloggs, you know what I mean? And you come in, and I was someone of a massive name.
Yeah.
I was like, "What do you think of this?" And they'd be like, if I pulled that face, what do you think of this? And you're like, "Yeah, shit." And you go, "Well, I kind of like it." Oh yeah, I kind of like it too.
It's one of them, isn't it?
You've got
well,
a lot.
like,
There's
the
a lot
thing
of
is,
that.
though, like I've noticed the more say on SoundCloud or YouTube, for instance, when I've put stuff out, I put my original stuff on there, I put my remixes on there, I've done them bootlegs and stuff, and the most played stuff. So, and it's not just a little bit; it's a noticeable difference. So, for instance, I did a single on This Is Bounce UK, Chasing Stars. It's all original, like. And it's done well. It's done really well, especially being signed to This Is Bounce. A lot of people heard it via that way as well. But it's got about, say, sort of 4,000-5,000 plays or something like that. It's not great. It's good, but not great. But then I've done a remix of, for instance, I done Ice MC, Think About the Way. Did that. Mate, that's knocking 50,000 players across platforms.
Because everyone knows Think About the Way.
Everyone knows it. Same goes. I did a remix. I did a bootleg in 45 minutes of Brimful of Asher. Do you know the tune?
Yeah.
Corner Shop.
That'd be a good flow filler, that though.
It is. That's the thing, because people see the title and recognise it. That's had thousands upon thousands of views. That's double figure. That's like 10,000 plus views across all platforms. And it's just one of them things. It's like, if they recognise the title of the song, if they see, oh, Lady Gaga, right, Brad's done a Lady Gaga remix, right, and then it's like, of course it's going to get the traction.
Yeah, that's happened for a while. I think I've done BCD, Sweetheart.
Yeah, everyone knows BCD.
As soon as I've done BCD, Sweetheart, my remix, or even I've done one and then I've done one with Mikey B. As soon as you put them on, they're on 30,000 plays. You know, really thinking, but then you look at the next one, the one before it, you're like, 3,000 plays. You know what I mean? Just make a difference. But again, I think that's just what we do as human beings, isn't it? We just look for something similar. Oh, follow that. But again, original work definitely needs more breakthrough. But the ignorance of the general public, me included, is.
It's really bad, isn't it? Yeah.
It's hard to do it unless you could something that's original, and then straight away I go, oh my God.
It sounds relatable of some sort. So maybe if you steal a chord progression from somewhere, it's like,
or even if it's just new music, that's just, for me, again, that's just so intelligently made. So there's like, they're picking out music, it's, you know, notes out the scale. You're like doing a riff or something, I'd be like, yeah, that's good. Then I'll be in there, sort of thing. But again,
that only impresses your peers, though. That it doesn't impress the general listener, does it? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Unless they're a nerd for riffs and stuff like that. Anyway, because I've spoke to other guitarists over the years, and like they're still all for the riffs, and you know, if there's like Slash, you know, the Guns N' Roses guitarist, the shit he used to play, and he used to incorporate a lot of blues into his rock, and you could really made them stand out. But again, maybe to the average Joe, you know,
you don't know, do you?
No, but again, you look at him thinking he's awesome. Him.
Right, we're just going to start wrapping this up. So I want to ask you a couple of questions before we go off. Right, I want to know, to you, what is the pinnacle tune in bounce? So for you, like, when you think of bounce music and you think about the Pier, you think about Going Up to Barrow, you think about Guilty Pleasures, you think about Reminisce Festival. What's one tune that that when you think of these times, you just think, yeah,
still got it.
This fits.
One for me, it's probably still my favourite that I've had since the Barrow days, and I've only ever played it about 4 times live because it's that much of a tune that it's got to be at that right time.
Is that right? Yeah.
And it was Darren Tate, Lifted.
Right.
Yeah. Darren Tate and Marcel Woods or something like that.
Yeah.
Lifted. For me, that has fitted in everywhere I've been, even though I've only played it at a few places.
Every time it sort of worked.
Like I'll play it in, like I'll be in the mood, I'll play it in the car, and it's still that one tune. I mean, it's up there with Brothers and Sisters for me. You know what I mean? And obviously Brothers and Sisters has been with me. I play it all the time.
I've hammered your version, mate. Absolutely. I played that at probably 75% of the gigs since you gave me it. Yeah. And that's like 6 years ago. Something like that, yeah. We were around about that time, like 6 years ago.
Yeah. You like all the Asher and stuff like that.
Yeah. I just love the young MC rap on that off the top. I think it sounds class. Right.
It worked, didn't it?
I'm going to ask you as well now. I'm going to put you on the spot. This is not your most popular track, but in your opinion, what is the best track you've done?
The best track I've made.
It doesn't need to be the most successful. It's just something that you listen back and you're like, fucking smash that, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The best track I enjoyed making the most was that Suspects, and it was a Breathe In.
Oh my god, what a fucking tune!
The mastering is shocking, but musically, I mean, I've actually redone it the last couple of years because it was that bad.
Yeah.
But musically, it was just thingy, and it was.
Tune.
I just remember being in work making that when I, when I used to be able to make them all at work. That for me was my favourite tune, but obviously there's been better ones.
Her vocal's unbelievable as well.
It just works, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's like I'm not usually a massive fan of that big high pitched vocals, but she's so airy in her voice. It's so good.
Yeah, but obviously
and I love the offbeat you did on that as well.
It was the offbeat riff, wasn't it? It was that little thing that made it. And I don't normally I'll sit there thinking it's not good enough, and I'll try and do some technical riff when it was like less is more.
Yeah.
But it just filled it up so much. But yeah,
when I played bowlers about 7 years ago now. And I started with that tune.
Did you?
Yeah, I started with Breathe In. And do you know something? I was a bit sceptical because I was like, it's not a well-known tune as such, is it? Like the original, the Suspects one.
Yeah.
It's not massively, like, it's not like, oh, everyone knows this tune. But it's because it's so euphoric, I thought, fuck it, let's do it. And I kicked it in on the breakdown. And it just worked, big hands in the air thing, and it's so good.
Yeah,
so
it's got a couple of different drops in it as well, hasn't it? Which
it is very different.
Yeah.
So I just want to tie this up now. Then I asked this to everybody who comes on. If you go for a Chinese meal for one, you're not taking your family with you. This is just what you're eating yourself. What are you getting?
Start off with chicken sweet corn soup.
Right.
Always.
I hate sweet corn, mate. But
no, sweet corn. I'll go to town, innit? Yeah, chicken sweet corn soup. Then I'll start. I mainly go to Chinese, just have a load of shite.
Yeah.
But I'd be like something cashew nuts, or I'd probably be black pepper sauce, beef or something. I asked Kenny that on the last podcast, and he said beef and black pepper sauce. Did he?
Did I?
Beef, black pepper sauce, fried rice.
Nice. It is nice. Don't get me wrong. I don't have it often. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, I eat a lot of Chinese. Is there? So
it's got to have a nice kick. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of a kick, because she likes black bean sauce, but I always have black pepper sauce.
Black bean hasn't got the same kick. But it's nice, but it's more savoury in it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
too girly.
Nice.
I'm hungry now.
I'm getting quite hungry. Right, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And do you know something? I've loved it. Is there anything you want to plug before you go? And do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Find me online anyway. I've got POOMSTYLES.com/shop if you want to buy any of my older tracks. A lot of stuff coming out on the acceleration and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just SoundCloud.
Yep. POOMSTYLES in it, yeah.
SoundCloud/POOMSTYLES, yeah.
Check it out. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, share with your mates. Nice one.
Cheers.